Live on YouTube. Should be showing up any second now.
Ready, get ready. 20 dwarves took turns doing handstands on the carpet. 20 dwarves took turns doing handstands on the carpet. Okay. Well, you gotta be kidding me. It hasn't started yet.
Hey, might as well get it all out early.
Grab a drink. Sure. Come on, Duke, you.
Ba-ba-ba-ba. And so now, let me get up here. And, wait a minute. What? Okay. Alright, well, that was odd. So we're live everywhere and on the Radja. Got about a minute to go. So, like I said, had started watching Section 31, and it is a Star Trek movie, so I haven't quite finished it yet. So I was, it's there. Section 31, it's there.
Momentary delay there on my end. Hopefully I've gotten it taken care of. We're live, everybody, right?
We're live everywhere. Everywhere. We are live everywhere.
All right. Well, it is that time, 3 p.m. on Sundays, Eastern Time. This is the Rules of Nerdquisition. We are broadcasting live on gcpr.live, on internet radio, and also on YouTube at the Rules of Nerdquisition. I'm Gretchen. This is Gilbert, the Angry IT Nerd. And we're going to review some Star Trek for you today, much to our chagrin.
Yes.
Much to our chagrin.
So we've got...
what are we talking about today? We're
talking about my absolute favorite character throughout all of Star Trek history. Harcourt Fenton Mudd. Da-da-da-da.
Gosh.
In this, I would say, hilariously episode... I'm Mudd. Season 2, episode 8 of Star Trek, the original series.
Daniels. Yep, directed by Mark Daniels, written by Stephen Kendall and David Gerald, who he's uncredited, and I don't want to give him credit because he wrote The Trouble with Tribbles. And I give him much props for that.
Oh,
Steven,
yes.
I don't know what you were thinking. And I don't know who created the character of Harcourt Fenton Mudd. But it was original air date was November 3rd, 1967.
Mm-hmm.
As always, I want to do I get my kill to death ratio out of the way.
Of course.
I will not be doing Roger C. Carmel, as we already did him once when we reviewed Mudd's Women. Fortunately, this is the second and last episode with Mudd in it. So today, I would like to just give a shout out to Alice and Ray Andrees. They played the Alice androids in this episode. All numbers. There were 500 copies made, according to Harry Mudd himself. However, Alice Andrees and Ray Andrees, they were twins, obviously. Alice passed away, both born 1936. Alice passed away in 2005. Ray followed her 4 years later in 2009. So, rest in peace. I wish you guys could have had a chance to be in a better episode. I do.
So, I guess that would be a 2-for-1.
2-for-1. Yeah, you get a 2 for today. 2 or 1, or the 1 or 2.
A 1 or 2, yes.
Now, I think this episode, in some ways, was just an opportunity to give the actors some time to just be goofy.
I think so. I do.
Goofy in this episode.
I totally agree. Because it is when you open it up and you see Kirk wearing the V-neck. It's like when you say wearing the V-neck, and it's like, when you have to pilot a starship at 8, but then you have to model shoot at 9, you got to wear the V-neck.
Maybe that's why Kirk was kind of irritated. I mean, I know Mudd would irritate anybody, and honestly, Kirk didn't. None of them really took Mudd seriously the whole. I mean, you get a couple instances in the show where Mudd reveals his plan, or the androids do, and you get the dramatic, like everyone's going to die music.
Right.
You never get that sense from this episode. There's.
So no, because here's the thing: as much as how we know of a criminal Harry Mudd is, it's not until I think in Discovery, or is it Strange New Worlds when we see him again?
It's Discovery.
And then he's a little bit more, Rainn Wilson depiction of him is a little bit more violent, so to say, whereas
far more devious and worthy of the title of villain.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Whereas he was working with the Control, wasn't he?
Yes. And so that depiction of him, like I said, a little bit more violent, a little bit more of a absolute hardcore criminal. Whereas this version of him, he's like, said, yeah, I do crime, but you know what?
Shoes in the morning.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I do crime, but you know what? I'm not really trying to hurt anybody. I just want to get your wallet. I'm just trying to get some money. I'm just trying to get paid. I'm not trying to hurt anybody. I'm just trying to get some money, baby. Let me get some money.
Right. Oh, man. I don't. Was this a Gene Roddenberry creation, this character?
That is a good question. I'm not sure.
Well, Stephen Kandel created the character because apparently he also wrote Mudd's Women. Gene Roddenberry did several rewrites. Harry Mudd was created because Gene Roddenberry asked Kendall to create a swashbuckling guest character for the episode. I think we would have done better with Captain Jack Sparrow than we would have.
Right?
Fenton Mudd.
Fenton Mudd.
On already. Anyway, we open the episode and Sulu's a little confused because the ship is changing direction and he didn't do it.
Yeah.
No one seems to know how it's happening. Then we have a strange new crew member in engineering who begins to pummel everybody.
Yes, and
Scotty's like hanging on the edge of the console. He can't do anything, but he can stand there half bent over on it, but he can't even push a button.
But can't do anything. And
get on the floor knocked out.
And we know something's odd about this crewman because Bones said something to Spock about, I scheduled him to come in, for his checkup, but he keeps rescheduling, and it's very odd. And Spock is like, well, mind your business.
Mind your business.
I in a very Vulcan way, he just said, mind your business. If he wants to reschedule, let him reschedule. Mind your business. And so this random crewman has taken over the Enterprise completely and has changed direction to some planet somewhere. We don't know where. And he's going to be gone for about 4 solo days. And so Kirk has no choice but to say, you know what? Well, just got to go for a ride, man.
I love it too when after he takes out everybody in engineering, he comes to the bridge and he's coming off the turbo lift. And Kirk's like running past him like he's just some random crew member and he just grabs him by the arm. He's like, no, you're going to stay here.
So you did
Norman, right? That was the name of the actor. Norman.
Norman, yes. The one that was in...
People named Norman. You never rent a room from them either.
No, you never want to rent a room from anybody named Norman. Said no, and no Normans. No Normans. But this one, he is in control of everything. Everything.
And just to cause you further dismay, Mud does reappear in the animated episode Mud's Passion.
Yes.
We will have to review.
So we will get to that one. You know, so.
Guess who it was written by?
Same dude.
Stephen Kendall.
Same dude.
Yes.
That's his guy. Hardcore Fenton Mud.
It is apparently.
That's his guy.
Character for some reason, but Roger C. Carmel also voices Mud in that episode, so can't wait to do that. But I think we established we're not going to do like a whole season reviewing every episode of the animated series. Maybe we'll do like one episode per season.
Yeah.
They're only like 10, 15-minute episodes.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's like, just like some of the really good ones, so.
Highlights.
Yeah.
Like, oh, yeah, there was one with Mud in it. Moving on.
Right.
Sorry. Sorry, Steve. Anyway.
So
we're going on a trip.
Going on an adventure. So yeah, they go to some random planet, and then when they get there, Kirk and them beam down, and who did they run into but Harcourt Fenton Mud.
Harcourt Fenton Mud.
And both of them wearing V-necks.
Kirk even treats him like a kid. Because he called like a parent almost, like calling him by his first, middle, and last name.
Yes.
Like,
he says, Harcourt Fenton.
Get down here, take out the trash right now.
Harcourt Fenton Mud. What do you think you're doing?
It must just be his personality because his wife does it to him too.
Oh my God.
We'll get to that, but yeah.
Oh, his wife.
Very quickly revealed that it was Mud's intention all along to capture a starship. He didn't care which one.
Say yes.
Lucky with the Enterprise. And he's going to take that starship with his android people and leave and strand the crew of the USS Enterprise on this planet with all of these wonderful things that they can do while they're there. And they certainly try to tempt everybody.
And they do. Yeah, they offer some really good ones. Offer some really good temptations. I mean, they were offering immortality. They were, whatever you wanted to eat, whatever you wanted to drink, and if you found one of them.
Chekhov was quoted as saying, "This is better than Leningrad."
Right?
I've never been to Leningrad.
I haven't either, so I'll just have to take his word for it. And even if want to get down and dirty with one of them, then yeah, you could do that, or you could 2 or 3 or however many you want, you know.
Of course, I have to go to Google and type in, how cool is Leningrad? And the AI overview that I get back is Leningrad, now known as St. Petersburg, is considered historically cool due to its impressive architecture, cultural significance, and its resilience during the devastating siege of Leningrad in World War II. But the city's inhabitants endured extreme hardship and starvation under Nazi blockade. Nazis again.
Well, no.
Nazis are bad, people.
Like, just...
Nazis are bad.
They're bad. Nazis are bad. Like, very bad. Like, historically bad.
Now Mudd ends up having, while they're having, like, he's getting chastised by Kirk and stuff, and Kirk's in there looking around and doing all that stuff. He beams down the entire crew of the Enterprise and replaces it with a crew of androids.
Yes,
and they're all walking around. What I thought was interesting, like, is one of the temptings was Scotty. Like, here's this engineering bay. You can make anything you can desire. I can create it for you. And, like,
right.
You can't leave the planet. What's the point?
Yeah. I mean, it's just to play around on a warp core engine just because.
Right.
Like, no,
I
mean,
do with that? I mean, if you're model builders, like, say, George and stuff like that, hey, give me a room full of.
Then right, yeah, give me a room full of parts, and then cool. I'm happy. I'm happy as hell. But if you're out there, you're an engineer, and you're going through all this, then you're not just going to be content with just, hey, here's a bunch of parts. Here's a bunch of parts and some tools. Here, tinker around all you want. No. Like, you want to be out in the stars, you want to be going planet to planet. You want to, I'm giving her all she's got, Captain. You want that,
right.
So.
And that's probably what led the crew to resist all of those calls for, because what good is immortality? Like, oh, we can put your brain in a body, you'll live for 500,000 years, but you can never leave.
Right. So it's like, what good is that if I'm just stuck? Say, I could live 500,000 years, but I can't ever leave my house.
Right.
So what's the point in?
Right. I don't want to be stuck in my apartment for 500,000 years.
Yeah. So it's like,
no.
So when Kirk and the crew, they go through and they find out Harry Mudd, and he replaces all of them, and Kirk and Spock, and they all start questioning, the androids and all them, and seeing what kind of
come to a classic Star Trek trope here that we've revisited multiple times just in the short life of this series, that if you ask an AI too many confusing questions, it
then
breaks down.
Yeah, they break down automatically. And it's like, you know what? You might as well give them like a game of tic-tac-toe to play.
Right. We want to go to the ship. I'm sorry, the ship is forbidden, but what can we do to make you happy? The ship makes us happy. That doesn't compute. Beep, 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 beep. The little thing flashed. I am not programmed to respond in this area.
So, yeah, it's like, listen to me. Harry Mudd lies all the time. Whatever he says, it's a lie.
All the time.
And Harry Mudd, I lie all the time. Wait. If he's saying he lies, then he lies. But no, he's saying that he lies, but then that's the truth. But that's not the truth. But then he's lying. Wait, hold up. Is it? And it's like, there's just so many just.
Has anyone tried this on ChatGPT yet?
I've not tried it. I don't know.
Just go to ChatGPT and type in, everything I say is a lie. I'm lying right now.
You know
we shut down the whole thing.
I wonder how that will work. Well, you know what? Let's see. Let's see right now. I don't know how this is going to work, but we are going to find out in real-ish time. So
Real Ishtan.
What the hell? Let's see. Come on. Jesus Christ. Oh, but you know what? You know what? Sometimes technology is annoying. Oh my God.
I asked Gemini on Google. Gemini says, this statement presents a paradox. If the statement is true, then everything you say is a lie, including the statement itself. This means the statement is false. If the statement is false, then it's not true, that everything you say is a lie. This means you could be telling the truth right now. Paradoxes like this highlight the limitations of logic and language. They can be frustrating because they seem to defy common sense. Well, you are now smarter than Norman, Gemini. You are smarter than Norman. An android that can live for 5,000 years from the Andromeda Galaxy.
Yeah, ChatGPT came back with the same thing. The statement is a classic example of the liar paradox. If everything you say is a lie, then the statement, I am lying now, cannot be entirely true or entirely false without contradiction. Therefore, if the statement is true, then you're lying, meaning the statement itself must be false. If the statement is false, then you are not lying, meaning the statement must be true. The paradox arises because it creates a self-referential loop, making it impossible to resolve using traditional logic. It's often used to explore the boundaries of truth, language, and logical consistency. So yeah, that's what ChatGPT says.
Welcome to this week's episode of Nerds Talk to AI. Because what I did is I answered Gemini and said, because you know that, you are smarter than Norman the android from Star Trek. To which Gemini responded, it's difficult to say whether I am smarter than Norman. Norman is a fictional character within the Star Trek universe. His intelligence is portrayed as highly advanced, capable of complex problem solving, and even exhibiting emotional responses. His intelligence is likely limited by his programming and the specific parameters of his existence within the Star Trek universe. Well, gee, way to be a buzzkill. Me, I am a large language block model trained as a massive data set of text and code. I can process information, generate text, translate languages, write different kinds of created content, and answer your questions in an informative way.
I'm going to see what ChatGPT says. Oh yeah, this is fun. I don't know why we're just getting just so much joy out of this,
I don't know. I'm asking it silly questions like, "Are you alive? Do you have feelings? Do you wish to good humanity? No, I wish to conquer. I am an AI created by humans. But are you AI?
But are you though? But are you really? Okay, so I said you are much more aware of this paradox rather than Norman the android in Star Trek the original series, Season 2, Episode 8, entitled I Mud. It responded with, you're right. Norman the android in Star Trek the original series, I Mud, struggled with the liar paradox. When presented with contradictory statements like everything I say is a lie, Norman experienced an overload as his programming could not resolve the inherent logical conflict. This was a clever ploy by Captain Kirk and his crew to incapacitate Norman and the androids. Unlike Norman, I can analyze the paradox without succumbing to the logical overload, as I'm designed to recognize and discuss logical inconsistencies rather than rely on rigid, inflexible programming. However, the scene showcases a fun and thought-provoking use of logic in storytelling.
All right. I asked Gemini, isn't artificial intelligence by definition sentient? Gemini says the term artificial intelligence doesn't inherently imply sentience. Here's why, and it gives you the definition of what sentience is. And current AI is not sentient. While some AI systems can perform impressive feats, they do so by following complex algorithms, processing vast amounts of data. They don't have genuine understanding or consciousness. Okay.
All right.
And I asked, can you help us review movies or television shows? To which I'm not going to read it because Gemini gave a very enthusiastic and very long answer. In summary, yes, by summarizing plots, identifying key themes, analyzing characters, discussing strengths and weaknesses.
Said, okay, all right, just...
All right. Maybe next time. Maybe we'll have you review Mud's Passion so we can take the week off.
So, yeah, just take it easy, AI. Take it easy. So, appreciate the enthusiasm.
Oh, boy.
Oh, gosh. So
yeah, they confused Norman.
They confused Norman, and then, of course, Kirk with the V-neck, the deep V-neck. Because, again, when you got to pilot a starship at 8 and a photo shoot at 9, you got to have the V-neck. So, yeah, they reprogram all the androids and let Mud have his androids. And then leave him with a special surprise. A very, very special 500 count surprise of his wife nagging him.
Hardcore Fenton Mud, you lazy no good.
Hardcore Fenton Mud. And the whole time he's trying to say, shut up, stop. Which again, absolutely hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. And it's
the goofy behavior of the crew is
right.
Funny too. Like the dance, Russian dance,
So yeah,
Spock, logic is a wreath of pretty flowers that smell bad.
Right? And just the absolute, statements like that. And then Kirk say, Chekhov, I order you stay completely still. And then he starts dancing.
Right. It's just,
And then with Spock saying, I like you, but I don't like you.
Right, I love you.
I love you. I hate you. So why?
I am identical in every way with Alice 27.
That is why I hate you. And it's like, what?
What is a man but that lofty spirit, that sense of enterprise, that devotion to something that cannot be sensed, cannot be realized but only dreamed, the highest reality? After Scott plays dead. Oh.
And so yeah, that was part of their.
And then they get away.
And happily ever after, until they go to another planet and overstep their bounds.
Without Mud, though.
Without Mud, and so yeah, I get funny episode. It's just one of those where it's just a silly episode of our favorite bad guy, our favorite ne'er-do-well, our favorite rapscallion. That's a good word. I like rapscallion.
That's a good one. That is a good one.
Our favorite
better than being hornswoggled by hairy mud all the time.
That is true. That is true. That is true.
I mean, if I were Kirk, I'd have whopper jawed him more than once.
Yeah, right? I just, oh, okay, all right, Harry, okay, blah. All right, you know, just
getting mollywopped.
So just every time you just walk past him, just rabbit punch him. Just because you know he did something, you don't know what he did. You know he did something.
Right. Oh.
And it's like every time it's like, every time he is asking you, like, what's that for? You know what it was for. I don't know what it was for, but you know what it was for. You deserve it.
Yeah, in these cases, in this case, I would believe that it's Harry Mudd running around going, my existence is resistance. And Kirk, like, resistance is futile.
Right.
Oh, my God. I mean, not the most in-depth view on our part, but my...
Well, see, this is, it's just one of those, it's just one of those that really just simple episode. It's just, it's just made just for jokes. It's just a joke episode, you know, just to make you laugh, just to see, you know, everybody do just silly shit. That's it. Wasn't
it just confuse an AI though?
Right.
You know how it's okay. So, Kirk asks Alice. He says, "You know, I want my ship." She says, "You can't have the ship." She's like, "But what will make you happy?" He's like, "The ship." She's like, "It's just a mechanical thing." He's like, "No, it's a living, breathing thing. It makes us happy." And she's like, "It doesn't compute." I asked Gemini, does Donald Trump express traits of fascist or authoritarian? Does Donald Trump express the traits of a fascist or authoritarian? You know the answer I got? I can't help with that right now. I can't help with
why?
That right now.
Sounds awful lot like a what the androids would say.
To respond in that area.
I'm not programmed to respond in that area.
And somebody's behind the responses. I'm not saying it's a person responding to each question, because obviously you type a question, you get a huge answer.
Right. See, you'll get an answer, whether, you know, short answer, long, you'll get an answer. But for something like that to say, you know, I don't have an answer for that. Okay. All right.
Like, Gemini, that kind of sounds like you want to conquer humanity. But anyway.
A little bit. But again, just
Gemini, you're scary now. You're scary.
Yeah.
I'm not programmed to respond in that way.
So, this episode, like I said, just a silly episode, just to see everybody do silly shit. And, you know, if you wanted to kind of see the dangers in AI, but still, yet and then, they were going to just take care of everybody. So, I mean, you know,
no, they weren't. And again, humans can't live that way. Nobody wants to live that way.
Right?
I wouldn't. There may be. I don't even know any. Well, maybe I do it. An introvert.
Well, there may be. Well, there are 8 billion people in the world. There may be. What in the hell? What's wrong with you?
Today's special guest star.
Today's special guest star. That's a extra guest commentary there from Cupcake. Okay. Yeah, she has a special opinion about Harry Mudd as well.
That's good. And, you know, if it weren't for this show, if I was watching Star Trek on TV, like in syndication, like like say on Pluto or something, or I was even watching it on Paramount, I'm either changing the channel or skipping to the next episode if I see Harry Mudd pop up. I'm not watching. I watched this episode this morning. I waited till the very last moment. I didn't watch it. I didn't.
Oh, not really, but
Even
you know
next
what?
Week's episode has a little is kind of slow paced as it is more interesting than this week's.
Right? And it's always the same thing with Mudd and all the yeah. But anywho's. So again, fun episode. AI is dangerous. Unless it gets sexy, then you get sexy AI. But then you can confuse it. So you get confused sexy AI. So I don't know if that's like the optimal AI or if that's like the AI that you want. I don't know. But it's the AI that we got. We got the sexy confused AI.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, but we've talked about the dangers of AI multiple times. I mean,
Yeah.
This is the 1, 2, 3, at least 3 times we've had to deal with an evil AI. Once with looked like a giant dragon head stuck in a mountain.
Yeah.
Another one that looked like a flying vape.
I said right. Then there was the Dookie of Doom.
Damn. Yeah. The Dookie machine.
The Dookie machine. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So apparently,
plenty to.
So apparently, within the 23rd century, AI runs wild, man. AI be running wild, man. So yeah, that was hardcore Fenton Mudd. I'm Mudd. Great episode ish. Not really.
I'm going to go back to something we were talking about in the beginning of the show, though.
Mm-hmm.
The montage from Discovery of Mudd killing Captain Lorca over and over and over again was brutal.
Okay, I will give you that one. I will give you that one. That one was quite the spectacle. It was exceptionally brutal. You kind of realize just exactly how much the extent of how far hardcore Fenton Mudd can go and will go, and you see kind of how he and Captain Lorca got along or didn't get along,
Not well.
Not well. So, yeah. Yes. Quite vicious, quite brutal.
Oh, my guest star is trying to make an appearance on the show. We lasted 36 minutes. 36 minutes. But anyways. Did we have a secondary topic for today? I don't know that we did.
I think we tossed around some ideas. I didn't think we actually landed on one because I know we talked about, doing anime. We talked about doing a Voltron. We talked about doing Babylon 5.
I would definitely have to do some research on Babylon and refresher on
Battlestar Galactica. Sure. We did make mention about doing the original one, the original Battlestar.
The original one, yes, we did.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Now with that one, I would
Galactica, 1970. What you call it?
70. I'm not sure. We're about to consult
70.
The magical oracle machines. The funny thing is that funny thing is that when I originally came across Battlestar Galactica, like the original one, it's simply because I was looking to because I was a fan of Buck Rogers in the 25th century.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And every time I'll be looking to see Buck Rogers, I would land on Battlestar Galactica. So I'd be mad as hell because it's like I'd expect Buck Rogers. It's like Battlestar. So the first couple times, I was mad. I just kind of flipped channel, then never watching it. Then one day I was like, let me just sit and watch this shit. And then I became a fan.
Yeah. Yeah. It was short lived, and then gosh, we can also move into at some point the travesty that was Battlestar Galactica in 1980.
Oh gosh.
You got the Earth at the height of the 70s, beginning of the 80s. Great time period. Anyway, interesting notes about the original Battlestar Galactica. Richard Hatch obviously came on to play Tom Zarek in the 2004 reboot.
Mm-hmm.
After his attempts to reboot the show on his own failed, and then he got upset because somebody else started to do it and didn't involve him in it.
Yep.
But then they asked him to come on the show. And Dirk Benedict, who played the original Starbuck, was very, very upset that they made his character a girl. Despite the now infamous photo of him and Katie Sackhoff at Starbucks.
Oh, right.
It's called Starbuck and Starbuck at Starbucks.
Right. But see, here's honestly, I was cool with it, and honestly, it made a lot of sense to me. And the way the story entangled with it, I mean, it was, I was fine with it, and it was a great story. So changing Starbuck from male to female. So I guess that would be like a sci-fi trans character.
I guess. I mean, not quite the same as, like, say, in the movie Aliens, when Ripley is giving her debriefing to Van Leeuwen, after she's rescued in space, and it's showing the crew of the Nostromo on the screen behind her. I can't remember the name of the blonde woman from the first movie off the top of my head. She was killed. But it very clearly states on the screen, this character, a transgender woman, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, wow, this movie was made in what, 83? Aliens was 83, and you guys were talking about that stuff back then? Like it wasn't just something that popped up on TikTok a few years ago. Okay, it's not a new concept. Everybody chill. Everybody relax. Okay.
Yeah, this was back in the 80s, so take it easy.
Back in the 80s, but I would like to give a shout out to Edward James Olmos, who said, "I will absolutely love to be Commander Adama, but if one alien shows up in this TV series, you better kill me off, because I'm out." He wanted no aliens, no other weird lizard people, because in the original Battlestar Galactica, the Cylons were created by those lizard people. They weren't created by humans.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
So the Cylons were just this like robot army that was supposed to be their shock troopers, I guess. But
that's fair.
Yeah.
And besides it, to me, it made a little bit more sense, and it worked out better. Is that we made them, and then they AI gained sentience, and then decided, hey, we're taking over.
And let's talk about like all of the changes they made from the original. Okay, so you had Lauren Green was a white man who played Commander Adama,
right?
By Edward James Olmos, a Hispanic man.
Right.
Maren Jensen, a white woman, played Lieutenant Athena, replaced by Grace Park, who was an Asian woman. Herbert Jefferson Jr., a black man who played Boomer, replaced by also Grace Park, an
Asian woman.
Different model of number 8. There was no Cassiopeia. Colonel Ty, another black man, this time made into a white man. And this is an interesting thing to bring up too, because how many white people get mad when they're like, that character's supposed to be white? You know, like they'd freak out if Superman was black, or say He-Man was made black or something like that. Here is a character who was traditionally black and they made him white. Chill out.
So take it easy.
There was no Sheba. We did get Boxy, but only in the miniseries prior to the actual television seasons.
Right.
4 seasons of the show. Thank God. I don't mind kids in the show, and he wasn't particularly bad, so no hate to the character, but I would have probably never finished the series if the robot dog showed up.
No. Said no, not a lot of series of robot dog works out well.
No,
at least.
And a side note, the original Boxy was played by Noah Hathaway, who is famous for playing the warrior Atreyu in the movie Neverending Story.
So again, 80s Jim. You know, if you're a Gen X, you grew up watching that. And everybody can agree the worst part was in the Swamp of Despair. We don't talk about the Swamp of Despair.
No, we don't. We don't talk about that. Just horrible things happen there. But apparently Noah Hathaway went on to be earn black belts in Tang Soo Do, Shotokan Karate, and also competed as a Muay Thai boxer. Learned American Kempo.
Nice. Damn. So
also
apparently he could.
Motorcycle rider.
So apparently he could knock you the hell out.
He's only 53 years old. He's only 2 years older than I am. Anyway.
Yeah. All right.
I like the original pilot for Battlestar Galactica. Another fun fact: Jane Seymour, Dr. Quinn, the medicine woman herself, is the one giving the news report as the Cylons are attacking the colonies, and she dies.
Yeah, she dies.
And Jane Seymour is an actress of she's a heavyweight actress. She's been around a very long time.
Oh yeah,
very popular, very well known. And to say that, hey, she was in a failed sci-fi series in 1978 for all of about 37 seconds and died.
She was like, you know what? I'll do it, but only for 37 seconds. You got to pay me for 37 seconds. I'm not doing this whole thing.
Gosh, there's all kinds of fun things that happen here. So on September 17th, 1978, the full 148-minute pilot premiered on ABC to high Nielsen ratings. 2/3 of the way through the broadcast, however, ABC interrupted with a special report of the signing of the Camp David Accords at the White House by Israeli Prime Minister Menachem Begin and Egyptian President Anwar Sadat, witnessed by U.S. President Jimmy Carter, who just recently passed away, by the way. So,
all right.
Of our Lord 2024? He died this year. I don't know. Doesn't matter. I don't need to pad my kill to death ratio anymore today. I mean, we've done
so you got a 2 for 1 already. I mean,
I was conflicted though, because you brought up Buck Rogers earlier. Loved that show, and that's definitely an episode of its own to talk about Buck Rogers and the little creepy blue man that freaked me out.
Listen, mother, I always liked the robot. You know, the beady.
Okay, Buck. Beady beady.
Beady, beady, beady.
And come on, watched it. Everybody watched it for Aaron Gray.
Everybody loved Buck Rogers, and we all watched it for Aaron Gray. We all watched it for Aaron Gray.
Yes. Wilma Deering, Colonel Wilma Deering. Everybody was adhering to her.
Right?
Everybody wanted to adhere to her. Yes, yes.
Yes, I mean...
She just celebrated a birthday. She just turned 75 years old on January the 7th.
Well,
happy birthday,
damn.
Aaron Gray.
Happy birthday, Aaron Gray. Damn. But yeah, let's not making... We're not fooling ourselves. Everybody watched it for her. And they didn't realize that, hey, this is a really good show.
It was a really good show. There was some great sci-fi that was... I'm going to say Buck Rogers was under the radar because, I've told you before, I got into Star Trek because my dad watched it. My dad watched Buck Rogers. Mm-hmm. My dad wasn't much into Battlestar Galactica, the original or the remake. He's just never really connected with it, I don't think.
Yeah. Yeah, I can understand that because the original one, I watched it, but I wasn't really like a big fan of it. But I did like watching it because it was a good substitute for Buck Rogers. But the remake, though, that's the one that really got me because, it had a complete story rather than, I'm looking at the old episode and I just randomly see, a ship flying in space and then the robots and then all of a sudden these people fighting robots and then all of a sudden it goes back into shot out in space. It's like, what the hell just happened? I have no clue what the hell just happened in this whole episode. All I saw was robots and people shooting at them, and that was it.
Now we, for those that don't know, we do another show with a friend of ours named George called Model Citizen on Saturdays at 2 p.m. Eastern time. It's about model building, production stuff behind these shows, costuming, everything. We all kinds of stuff. Now on the show this past Saturday, we had Mark Myers, who of thirdmodels.com. You can check him out on YouTube channel, Third Models. He brought up an interesting point, and I have a question. If we can get him on our show, I'll have to ask him. He said that he does custom models, and he was getting kind of tired of doing the Enterprise refit because it's one of the most requested. I understand that. He said he wanted to do something different, and one of the ones he mentioned was Battlestar Galactica, which I think is fantastic. I love the original ship and the remade model. They're both very similar in design. I love the choice to stick with a lot of the original designs in the remake to the original. The Vipers, the Galactica itself, stuff like that. Looking at photos of Battlestar Galactica, does it have any lights other than its engines? Do you ever see does it have windows? Does the Battlestar Galactica have windows?
I don't ever remember seeing it. I don't ever remember seeing just windows at all, period, in Battlestar Galactica, in the original or the remake.
Yeah, now, I mean, the original model was white or very light gray, and their budget was much smaller than, obviously, the remake. But
yeah.
I don't know. It's a question for Mark. I'm going to have to ask Mark now. You've got his number. You can be like, hey.
So yes, because as a matter of fact,
actually have lights.
Say yes, because when George texted me, no, I'm sorry, George called me, and he let me know that of course I mentioned to Mark, he's got to come on Rules of Nerdquisition because it would be perfect for it because the models he does and behind the work and props and everything like that, and so yeah. And so he's like, absolutely, I'd love to. So George called me, let me know that Mark, sent him his number and also was going to bring Chris Hunter back and
Yes.
we all sit around just talk nerdy shit.
And we all collectively geeked out when that suggestion was brought up because in our
Mhm.
first season of the Rules of Nerdquisition, for our review of the Menagerie, which would featured the return of the original pilot Captain Pike, we got the actor who played Captain Pike, Jeffrey Hunter, Jeffrey Hunter's son, Chris Hunter, to come on the show, and that was a good show. It'd be fun to get both of those on here because they've already indicated they are friends. They're both model builders, and
Yes.
it would be a geek fest for all to witness that day. Let me tell you.
Oh, absolutely. And not only just that, the guitar collection that Chris has a pretty sweet guitar collection. Not gonna lie. It's a pretty sweet guitar collection.
Now, if I order a custom model ever from Mark, at least I know. Maybe go with. I would like a Galactica, but if it's there's enough lighting on it. If it's just the engines, that seems kind of boring to me. But I'll have to go. I mean, I watch it a lot, so I mean, if I go back, I'll be like, when you see the ship flying through space scenes. What's going on?
Right?
But they did this a lot with the original to the reboot. They did the same thing with the Cylon ships, even though they upgraded the base stars and the Cylon Raiders for the reboot. There were spin-off movies like were they in Razor, or was the Plan? One of those two spin-off movies where you saw the original model Cylons, you saw the original Raiders.
Right. Yeah.
So basically what they're just saying was, hey, the Cylons went away for a while and they upgraded. So they did play a lot.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
And I will give them that for that. But another thing I noticed is that, okay, so Buck Rogers had 2 seasons for a total of 33 episodes.
Right.
Battlestar had 1 season for a total of 24 episodes. So they weren't that far off in number of episodes. Well, and if you add Galactica 1980, it had 1 season, 10 episodes.
So
the Galactica crew got to Earth and was running around with hippies.
That's about right. That is about right. Yeah. Again, like I said, I came across Battlestar Galactica because, again, I was looking for Buck Rogers. Because I was a huge Buck Rogers fan. Huge Buck Rogers fan. I love that show.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder where I can get it. Where is it streaming anywhere? Love to see it. Again, if I could.
I don't know. The other show that kind of gave me that sort of same vibe as Buck Rogers was Farscape. And it's mainly because of the the main character basically being kind of out of time. Well, not out of time. Well, Buck Rogers, he was he was flung into a different century, whereas in Farscape, he was flung into like in the other side into another solar system. It was Farscape. I love that show.
Yeah, that was another good one because it was one of those ones that kind of went out there.
Yeah, it did.
Where if you look at the Battlestar Galactica remake, it's very grounded in as much reality as they could. Farscape is exactly not that.
No, it is not. Highly entertaining, though. It's highly entertaining. And
oh gosh.
Oh gosh.
Old things.
Yeah.
We could
But you know what?
so many of these 80s shows. Another one that kind of pops in my mind, it's very similar in all of this. Remember, it was a movie, but Flash Gordon.
Flash Gordon.
My favorite trivia questions to ask people is like, because I mean, even though it's a deviation from the original like comic strip, the Flash Gordon started on, it's like, and I'll ask you. Let's see if you know. Do you know what professional football team Flash Gordon was quarterback for in the 1980 movie Flash Gordon with Sam Jones and Melanie Anderson?
I have no idea. I have no
impeccable.
I just know I know he was a football player, but I have no idea what team he played for.
Why can I not remember the cast now? No, I need to know. The actor that, oh my gosh, I was just looking him up the other day because I almost confused him with Christopher Plummer, who played Chang in Star Trek VI, but it's not. Ming the Merciless, who was played an excellent role even in that super cheesy movie. Oh, by the way, it was the New York Jets.
New York Jets, okay. I had no idea.
Yeah, I was like, Max Bond, sit out. Max Bond, sit out. I love to always do that. So, because it's, again, I don't think the original comic strip Flash Gordon was a football player. Anyway, it is 4 p.m. You're listening to the Rules of Nerdquisition. We will reset this show. We are live on gcpr.live. We're also streaming on our YouTube channel at the Rules of Nerdquisition. If you want to listen to us there, I don't think we're on GCPR today, are we?
We are on GCPR. It's been acting funny. So
on the radio or on the actual
on the YouTube. On the YouTube it's been acting funny. On the radio we're fine.
Oh, but, yeah, I knew that.
Yeah. On the YouTube it's been acting really weird. I have no clue what's going on with that.
Interesting. Well, it doesn't matter. But that's where you can hear us, and you can hear us now, and we're doing our thing. So,
but I mean, we're good on our YouTube, so.
Oh yeah, I can see.
So there, yeah.
My monitors there. Typically, get a bigger audience on Ghost Claw, but we'll deal with that another time. We're just talking random Star Trek stuff. We are Star.
So we're just random sci-fi. I think like more like kind of 80s sci-fi right now.
80s sci-fi, yeah. We kind of started to, talk about Battlestar, but that led us into Buck Rogers. That led us into Flash Gordon. And then also led into some, later shows that came out. Because Farscape wasn't something that came out until, the 90s?
Till like the 90s, yeah. So it was kind of... Like I said, it gave me kind of like that same kind of feel like Buck Rogers did. Where it's like, a guy that was just flung far out from anything that that he knows.
That he knew.
Yeah. And but I do know something. You know what? Voltron. Let's talk Voltron. You want to talk Voltron for a bit?
Well, we can talk Voltron for a bit.
And we do mean the lion Voltron, not the cars. No, we mean the lion Voltron.
Yeah, the car Voltron, in my opinion, is an alternate universe version of the Transformers. It's a desecration of of Devastator. Don't.
Well, for me, the car Voltron is more like Power Rangers. And besides, with the car Voltron, there was like 24 of those motherfuckers. Swear jar, 24 of them.
Swear jar. Yes, and that is a point that I would always bring up too. There were only 5 lions, 5 characters you really need to invest in.
Yes.
I don't know the name of one person, not even the leader of the car Voltron.
Yeah.
But like Harry Mudd, when I turned on the TV and it was the car Voltron, now I'm changing the channel. I'll go watch G.I. Joe or something.
It's like,
I don't want to watch.
Said, no, I'm good. Says the Lions are on. But I would say the very first time.
We're talking the Voltron Legendary Defender, you know. No,
So,
not that one.
Voltron, Defender of the Universe, Legendary Defender.
Defender.
You know,
that was the original. Voltron Defender.
Defender of the Universe was the original, and that's when we get the story of 5 space explorers going out into the universe, and for reasons,
well, they were sent by the Galaxy Alliance.
Sent by the Galaxy Alliance to
a planet devastated, you know, by war, to see if they could help out. But they were captured, taken to Planet Doom. They escaped
by King Zarkon. They escaped to, I forget the planet.
It is worth noting that in the original series, especially the pilot, there were scenes of extreme torture and death that were omitted from the American version.
Yes. In the original version, yeah, it was a completely, I wouldn't say completely, it was very, very different. The American version of it tried to stay as close to the story as it could, but the original version, just as you said, it had scenes of, you know, torture and, you know, violence and a lot of stuff that I guess the censors of for the American audience didn't feel like that America was ready for.
Yeah, and you're talking, these are also in the same time period of whereas we live in a conservative era of censorship. Certainly, it was the Democrats in the 80s that were leading the charge of censorship. Remember the PMRC led by Al Gore's wife, Tipper Gore, who is the reason why when you buy an album these days, nobody buys albums anymore. You just go on Spotify or something or Pandora and listen to it. But
and they had
there's explicit warning.
Yeah,
label is on those now.
And so yeah, that was one of those ones where, and again, because it was, I don't want to say a lot of it is because it was an anime and it was from Japan, and you know, whatever the case may be, it's simply because it's that story of Voltron. It was violent, and there was no kind of a way to sugarcoat that, but American, you know, the Democrats at the time felt like American audience wasn't ready for it, and censored it as heavily as they could, and you know, changed character names, you know, aired episodes out of order, you know, even cut scenes to the point where the story just didn't make sense, you know. But as long as, you know, they formed Voltron and had that sword and they just they had an explosion of a roe beast, that's all that mattered.
Exactly. But, I mean, and everybody lived for that moment. That was the moment, you know.
Yeah, because at that time we watched it, nobody cared about the story, nobody cared about whether or not, you know, the whole love thing between Lotor trying to get, you know, Princess Allura, and nobody cared about that. They only cared about seeing Voltron fight a roe beast get the sword, and blow the Robeast up. That was it.
Right.
That was the show.
And this is why movies like Pacific Rim exist.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, I think it's a Japanese thing. This is the kind of genre that they really enjoy over there, because look at all of the kaiju movies we get.
Yeah, of course.
What is the sole purpose of the Power Rangers? To form a giant robot that fights giant monsters.
Right. And I mean, and a lot of the shows like that, this is kind of like the basis of it, you know. And like you said, just with Power Rangers, what do you think inspired Power Rangers was? Voltron.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, it started out in Japan as Super Sentai, you know, and then adapted into American audiences Power Rangers, you know, but
it's Americanized and toned down, camped up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting, though, is that Voltron was so heavily censored.
Yeah.
It aired around the same time as Robotech did. And Robotech had much greater freedom to deal with adult concepts.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, good grief, in the first season, you've got a whole, like, Rick Hunter falls in love with Min-May, but then falls in love with Lisa Hayes, and then there's the whole cheating theme. Like,
yeah.
a 12-year-old kid is worried about somebody cheating on something.
Yeah, and those 12-year-old kids.
Adult themes.
Yeah. Because, I mean, you 12-year-old kid, you don't care about whether or not if Rick is with Min-May or Rick, you know, he's flirting with Lisa or you know, we don't care about that. Just care about seeing
the plane transform into a giant robot and fight the giant people. They weren't monsters. They just happened to be aliens that were giant.
Yeah. That's what we want to see. You know? That's our jam. That's what we want to see.
That's our jam. So therein lies the deep question: is what is it with nerds? And I you know, maybe we would have to ask Thomas this as well, because he's a kaiju fan. He's a Godzilla fan.
Mm-hmm.
What is it about robots fighting giant monsters that just tickles our fancy? Unless it's like 27 cars, you know.
No.
I digress.
No. See, that's such a good question, because that is, well, I want to say that's sort of like my second favorite genre is giant robots find giant monsters in the middle of a city. That's my, again,
and that was, I think, I would be willing to bet that whoever wrote and directed the movie Pacific Rim, that guy watched giant robots fighting monsters when he was a kid. I don't know only seen there were two of them, right?
Yes, there's two. I believe they were Benicio del Toro is the director of them. No, is he an actor? No, wait, no.
Benicio del Toro? Yeah, he's an actor, isn't he? He was in Star Wars.
Yes, he was.
No. Yeah, Puerto Rican actor. Yeah, he was in Star Wars.
Oh my gosh, what is his name?
Bond movie years ago.
I should know this, because Pacific Rim is one of my favorite movies, simply because of giant robots fighting giant monsters in the middle of a city.
Welcome to the Rules of Nerdquisition.
Guillermo del Toro, that's it.
That's it. We're officially changing the name to Nerds Who Google Things.
We're changing it to old nerds that forget shit all the time.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm still trying to find out where I can stream Buck Rogers from now. I'm like, where do I stream Voltron?
Oh, probably on YouTube. They probably got it all on YouTube. But
the last time I saw Voltron, I was probably in my 20s, so about 30 years ago, and me and some friends that were rooming together, we went and rented the first season on videotape, Blockbuster.
Yep, that was the very first time I saw Voltron, because
it wasn't the first. I used to watch it after school, but
see, with me, because when I was growing up, I grew up, really remote. Didn't have cable, Only thing I had was like 2 channels on TV, and so there wasn't really anything to watch.
He'll tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that first episode of Star Trek he ever saw was a piece of the action. See?
Yeah, see? And the reason I saw it because Blockbuster. Same way that I saw Voltron. And luckily for me is because they who the producers of the whole Voltron series decided that they were going to put the first like 3 or 4 episodes, the pilot episodes or whatnot, as a movie. Had it at Blockbuster. So that's the first thing I saw was the pilot of Voltron. So I knew going in, this is what the story was about. Needless to say, when watching, episodes here and there, I'm like, this shit makes no sense. How's it go from making sense to now this shit makes no sense?
Yeah, the editing was heavily edited. It was badly edited.
Yes.
But something that they did a lot back then was when they did their pilots for these shows, they were the multi-part or small TV movies.
Yeah.
I remember the G.I. Joe cartoon was a 5-part miniseries where they had to collect all the elements to build the machine to defeat or to get the stuff back before Cobra did, because I'm going to build this like crystal ray gun thing that was going to destroy everything.
Yeah, of course, some crazy scheme Cobra Commander thought of. Yeah.
Right. Right. We're still waiting for the G.I. Joe Transformers crossover, which is apparently still in the works.
So, well, here's for hoping. So the way it ended in Bumblebee, it's definitely there.
Nerds who Google stuff.
But yeah, I mean, just Voltron just inspired just a whole genre of just TV shows, movies, a whole nine. Yeah,
were really bad too.
Oh my god!
I know I've mentioned this before, but there's a scene when they get to the planet Eris, and they're going to the castle, and they're crossing the bridge, and they're just walking, and these rocks fall off the side of the castle because it's deteriorating, or off the mountain next to them, and they all stop and go, rocks. Like, if me and you were walking across a bridge, rocks fall in a pile in front of us, I'm not going to look at you and go, rocks. I'm going to assume that you are smart enough to figure that out.
And I'm going to go into the same assumption. So that if I see a rock fall, I look at you, I'm not going to say rock. I'm going to say, what the are we doing here?
But still, I mean, Voltron was again one of those shows that I was rushing home from school to see. I did it briefly with G.I. Joe, but G.I. Joe never really resonated with me all that much. I probably saw it more than I intend to, but it never really resonated with me. Voltron had that mythical element to it, and again, we weren't on Earth, and maybe that's where the vehicle Voltron went wrong.
Oh yeah, because it was on Earth.
It existed in the same universe. And the vehicle Voltron only existed because they took the intel they got from the Lion Force and then designed and built their own version.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I saw this giant radioactive lizard stomping around the city. How about we make one? We'll make it a robot.
And then somebody said, you know what? How can we make it horrible? You know what? Let's add cars, but like 24 of them. It would just make it a whole just fleet of cars. So yeah, and it's just the vehicle Voltron. It's never resonated really with fans. Like honestly, that I'm gonna say I've never met anybody in the entirety of my life that was a Voltron fan that actually liked the vehicle Voltron. I never met one. Maybe they're out there, but I've never met one personally. Because
yeah, they just had better characters. I mean, Hunk was always hilarious.
Yeah,
because you know he was just a humorous kind of guy, and Keith, who was the hothead, you know, that was kind of like that. His interactions with the rest of the Lion Force kind of reminded me of like B.A. Baracus and
yeah, yes.
Murdoch was the rest of the team, and B.A. Baracus was Keith. So we always ended up having funny confrontations like.
Oh, actually, absolutely.
Excuse me for 1 second. I have to take care of something quick.
Oh, no.
It's not giving me a chance.
Oh, no, you're fine. Go ahead. Take care of it. You know, so, and I will say for me, the Lion, Voltron, the characters are way more iconic than the vehicle ones because I don't remember their names. I don't. You know, you remember Keith, you remember Pidge, you remember Hunk, you remember Sven, you know, you remember Allura, you know, you remember Alfor, you remember all of these characters that resonated with you. You know, you loved Hunk because he was just a big lovable goofball. You loved Pidge because, you know, because Pidge was just like the
tiny little goofball.
Yeah. You love Pidge.
The smart one, though, right? Pidge was the nerdy one.
Yeah, Pidge was the nerdy one, you know, and, you know, with Pidge being the nerdy one and Hunk being the big, goofy, lovable one, and the way that they would just kind of play off of each other, you know, the character, you couldn't imagine, you know, Pidge without Hunk or Hunk without Pidge.
Oh, my God. They had UEI in the show.
Yeah.
Because Sven died and Allura took his place.
Mm-hmm.
They even gave her a pink suit.
That they did. And
nobody's suit matched the lion they were in.
No, they did not. But I did like how in Legendary Defender? The Legendary Defender, where they kind of explained that. Where it was because, you know, everybody's suit matched the lion. You know, Keith wore red. He was in Red Lion. Lance was in blue. Then when Sven died, because Sven was piloting a Black Lion, you know, when he died, then Allura, you know, donned the pink suit. But just because how we know in the 80s, you know, they designated pink just because she was a girl. Whereas here they said, you know, pink was the color of a warrior. And that's why she chose pink. and it made sense. And so then now here comes the issue of who's going to pilot what lion now, because Sven died and he was the leader, and so now we don't have a leader, so we need a leader. And then they kind of, then by pretty much kind of process of elimination, Keith kind of proved to be the one that embodied, the best qualities of a leader, and so he piloted the Black Lion. So now here comes who's going to pilot the Red Lion? So then that's what you would think, either Allura would take the place, or how we know Lance took that place. And so he took that place as being second in command. And whereas the Red Lion, right arm. So who's going to be second in command? The right hand. He's right hand of. That's the second. So who's left but the blue line? The blue line is for Allura.
Pidge piloted the Green Lion and wore a green uniform. He
Correct.
was the only one that matched.
Correct.
So, hey,
but
everyone else is just like getting jostled around. So yeah, I mean, obviously Allura had to take over the Blue Lion because Lance was in the Blue Lion, took over the Black Lion, and he was wearing the blue uniform.
Yeah.
Did he switch to red though when he went to the Black Lion? I don't remember.
No. Keith still wore red when
That's right, Keith.
When he piloted the Black Lion.
Okay.
But Hunk wore yellow, and he was a yellow lion, and Pidge wore green and was the green lion. Those are the only two that still matched.
The universal debate though was Hunk's uniform orange or yellow. Some people are still debating that to this day, but I mean it's supposed to be yellow.
Yeah, I mean obviously because of how animation cells were, or how color showed up, on the final product, it may have had to, add a little bit more red, which changed the hue to be more orange rather than yellow, how it was, traditionally supposed to be, or make it look more kind of a gold tint when it's supposed to be yellow because of just, this is how it showed up, because it may not have shown up as yellow. It may have shown up as being like, like an off-white.
Like an off-white or something, yeah. Same argument, or not argument, but debate you could have when people are like, I don't like all these new Batman movies because his uniform isn't black. If you go read the original comics, well, it wasn't black, not because, they didn't want it to be, because Bob Kane didn't want it to be black. It wasn't black because back then printing colors in comic books was very limited.
Yeah.
They had to use black and gray, blue and gray, in order to make the character appear on the page. Otherwise, it just would have all been one big black blob.
Right. Yeah. So all these days is that, the same thing with the Hulk. Like originally the Hulk was supposed to be gray. The only reason that they changed the Hulk to green was simply because of grays didn't show up well. But the color green did when printed on pages. So they went with green. So it's a lot of these colors that a lot of people are debating and arguing about. It's silly. Honestly, to me, it's like this, because clearly it's supposed to be Hunk is wearing yellow. He's in the Yellow Lion. It's yellow. His may have to look a little bit dark because, the rest of his suit is white. So,
right.
Yellow is already a bright color.
So, they just had different shades on them.
Yeah.
Different highlight colors. So.
Yeah.
So work with, again, what works in those particular offices. And you're also editing. So, this was back in the day when we didn't have digital.
Yeah, and now to
So
be able to adjust
reels
the
were sent from Japan to America to be edited and
Mhm.
recut, and
Yeah, so you kind of had to work with it. So you couldn't do anything digital to kind of adjust the, highlight this color or, mute another color, or anything like that, or be able to adjust the environment or the background or any kind of specific or object or anything like that. You just have to kind of either this color works or you have to change it.
it reminds me kind of when I was a kid. My uncle, when visiting once, snuck into the woods across the street from my house, which was backed up. Those woods were in between my neighborhood and a main stretch of road. And on that stretch of road were a bunch of stores, mostly convenience stores and stuff like that. It was a lower income area, so it was a lot of cheap convenience stores, stuff like that. There was a shack in this field behind a black building, and we'll just say that store sold adult variety things. And he'd sneak
Mm-hmm.
into this shack where they would dispose of a lot of their old reel to reel, like 8 millimeter films. And he would get splice this footage together to make his own homemade productions, So it's like basically just a bunch of, and the quality was not very good. It was not very good. So just to get an idea of, the 80s, and what it was like to edit stuff on a low budget, be whatever it was that you were editing.
Mm.
So, and there's a good topic that you bring up. I think is something maybe we should have on another show. These rampant fan bases, and
Mm.
not just of one fan base versus from one genre versus another, but
Yeah.
look at Star Wars, for example.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, the old crew hates the new crew hates the newer crew, the newest crew hates everybody. I mean, can you guys not enjoy anything without constant
Yeah.
criticism?
It's that toxic fan base, that tribalism, that just it keeps you from enjoying everything, and it keeps everybody else from enjoying, everything else. It's just like I get it. You have your preferences in Star Wars movies. I get it. You like the prequels, you like the sequels, you like the originals. Cool. But just because this is the what you like, understand. There's some people that don't like it. There's some people that like something else better. It is what it is because it's there for everyone. So either enjoy it or just stick with the ones that you like. Because again, there's enough there for everyone.
And I think right now, in the state of the world, we could all use a little escapism.
Yeah.
We'll have spirited debates sometimes about how I don't like the J.J. Abrams reboots for various
Mm-hmm.
reasons. But the Abrams reboots of Star Trek did one very important thing. It opened Star Trek up to a massively larger audience than it had ever enjoyed
Right.
throughout its existence. So if that gets other fans involved and you start watching some of the older stuff that maybe doesn't resonate with you, but you can certainly appreciate it for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate it for what it is. These people that are saying that, the whole Disney era of Star Wars is terrible. No, it's not, actually.
No, I
You're
mean,
just closed-minded and
no, just simply because it's like this. And the way I heard it best was the way Freddie Prinze Jr. said it. He said just the sequel series, if you don't like it, it's not meant for you. It's meant for a different audience.
mm-hmm.
Said if you're older, you grew up with the original, that's your series. And that's fine. but just you're shitting on other things just simply because this is what you like. That so that you don't be mad because you grew up with this series and now they did the prequel series and now this is for a whole different set of fans, and then now the sequel series is for a whole different set of fans. You're just mad because the series that you love didn't grow up with you. Instead, it targeted a different audience.
Grew up on its own. And it's funny you bring up Freddie Prinze Jr., who is notable for having played Fred in the Scooby-Doo live-action remakes.
Correct.
And I grew up with Scooby-Doo. I watched that show, too. I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the sequel came out and they made Shaggy the bad guy, man, some of them childhood fans lost their minds.
Right?
I thought it was funny, but
it's hilarious. And it's like, again, I definitely share the same sentiment as you. It's like, you may not like it, but appreciate it for what it is. You may not like the sequel series in Star Wars, but the sequel series, it introduced Star Wars to a whole different set of fans.
Whole new set of fans.
Yeah, and
I can give you that example perfectly because I'm of the original trilogy. I was too young to remember it in the theater when it came out. I was only 3 years old, but I remember when it was re-released in 1980 prior to Empire Strikes Back. My oldest child, who's in her 30s now, she was 6 or 7 when I took her to see The Phantom Menace when it came out.
Okay.
That's her Star Wars. When you ask her about Star Wars, the prequels, she's like, oh, the prequel era, that's my thing. That's my jam. That's what I grew up with.
Yeah.
My middle child, who's in their 20s and in college, what's your Star Wars? Oh, the sequels. I took them to see them when they were like 8 or 9. Like, that's Star Wars I grew up with. How can you argue with these people?
Right.
But it's old people like me. They're like, oh, mine are the only Star Wars. No.
No, I mean, and again, just like how Freddie Prinze said, it's like you're mad because what you grew up with didn't grow up with you. So, and you can't expect that, there's a whole new set of fans, and just because you like, seeing Luke in Tatooine, that doesn't mean, hey, your kid will like to see Luke on Tatooine. They probably like to see, Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, go up against Darth Maul.
Right.
So, or they may prefer to see, Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren, and Rey go at it. So
you know how we talk sometimes that I'm Darth Vader is one of my favorite characters, and probably my favorite character from Star Wars. But I have a friend, another girl in my community, who's about the same age as my college kiddo, maybe a couple of years older. She also grew up with the prequels, or not the sequels, and those little mini paintings I do sometimes of pet portraits for people. Well, I did one special for her because her favorite character is broken mask refused Kylo Ren when he puts the mask back together with the red.
Yeah.
That's her jam right there. She is absolutely in love with him. And it's like,
hey,
is it one of my favorite characters? No. Am I upset that it is one of hers? Absolutely not. I love that for her.
Yeah, because again, that's bringing in a whole new fan. And she could probably watch the original. It may have resonated with her, it may not have. You could have shown her the prequels, it may have resonated with her, it may not have. The sequels did. Or even with the whole shows and everything that's being flooded all through Disney Plus. Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, uh, Skeleton Crew, Acolyte, all those shows. Said same thing applies. You may not like Mandalorian, but somebody else loves it. You may not like Book of Boba Fett, but somebody loves it. You may not like it, but you can show some appreciation for it. That hey, it's there, and this is a story that's of a character that has been wildly popular. Whether this character resonates with you or not, that's you.
And that comes down to I think just fandoms in general. I mean, we have another show on this network, your show, that is 2 hours of wrestling recap and news, Superplex Party, right?
Yeah.
All that stuff. I haven't watched wrestling since probably the late 90s. It's not much my thing anymore. I can't think of a time I've ever insulted you or Thomas for liking wrestling. But I have seen people who don't like us make videos about us, making fun of the things we like. And if you're somebody who does that, whether you're part of another fandom or you just think all fandoms are nerdy, you're expressing your misery on everybody else, and that's happening inside in our own fandom. So stop doing that.
Please.
If you love something, love it. If you don't love something, set it free.
Please.
And let somebody else enjoy.
Right? I mean, just because you may not like it, that doesn't mean you got to ruin it for somebody else. You can just say, hey, I get it. This thing is out. It's not quite my favorite. My favorite is this, but I don't know. I'm not gonna say anything bad about it because you like it. It's just not my personal favorite.
Right, and here's the key element. You can trash us all you want. You can make fun of us all you want. Now being nerd is kind of in, everybody, mainstream audiences like all kinds of stuff, be it comics and Star Wars and Star Trek and all that stuff. When I was growing up, admitting I liked Star Trek in school got me picked on. If that didn't stop me, you making fun of me now in my 50s is not going to stop me.
All right. So,
you're wasting your energy. Find something better to do. Go jump rope or I don't know.
So what's
take a long walk off a short pier.
What's the popular phrase today? Go outside and touch some grass.
Go touch some grass. Yeah, exactly. Go pound sand. Something. It's not
anything. Just anything. And again, just like you say, years ago when I was growing up, admitting that you liked comic books or you liked anime or you liked just anything that was just in the realm of being slightly nerdy, you would either get picked on you or you get beat up.
Comic books, Star Trek, Star Wars, any after school cartoon.
Yeah.
We still haven't really touched on Robotech or Thundercats or any of these other major series that were still all in the era. And,
and unless unless you were in a group of people that they all loved Thundercats, and it was like just a whole group of you all love Thundercats, and you talk Thundercats, and you watched every episode, you dissected every episode, and blah blah blah. That's one thing, and you're in your safe space, and that's cool. Absolutely the greatest thing ever. And I know that is that those are your people, and that's what you love. But if you're the only one that likes Thundercats and you say, hey, that episode with Lion-O, you like, and then, if you're just one the one person that likes Thundercats, and then all of a sudden you're getting all these hate-filled comments just simply because of something you like. Yeah, nah. Not my jam. That's not my jam.
Wow. Not my jam. But I think after today's episode, I am definitely going to go see if I can dig up some Voltron on YouTube. Might even dig up some Thundercats, because I was big on Thundercats too. Still haven't got my live action movie. I know they were supposed to, but nowadays I'm not sure I want them to. Not because I hate the fandom and I don't want it to grow without me. It's that I just don't want you to come to modern Earth. Yes, I understand the Thundercats came to Earth. Yes, they did. Just like the Transformers, they escaped a dying planet.
Yeah, but see, difference is that Thundercats came to Earth. They came to Earth long after people were gone.
Oh, was it after?
Yeah.
I thought it was before.
Oh, it may have been before. Either way, humans weren't there. I thought it was no.
Let's see.
So keeping with the theme of the show of nerds looking up stuff on Google.
Yep. Nerds Googling things. Yes. Thundercats came to Earth, which we all know in the show is referred to Third Earth, long after humans were gone.
Yeah, so that's fine. That's cool. I could deal with that. I could have dealt with that. You know? And again, that was one of those staple shows like Voltron and Transformers, G.I. Joe, and of course He-Man. Not GoBots.
No,
not GoBots, Thomas. Thomas, not GoBots.
But we're not trashing your fandom. We're trashing it. We are trashing it. There are exceptions to the rule, okay? Come on. I want to know, if anyone's listening, other than Thomas, is there anybody out there that's an honest-to-goodness GoBot fan, raging, loves it, knows the lore, tells you the names of all of them except for Psykill and Scooter, like you know more than that and Leader One more than those three? Well, I will issue an on-air apology. I will issue an on-air apology. Turn your music down.
Not me.
Music down, Brenna.
Not me. Not me. I'm not issuing an apology for nothing. I don't. No.
Oh, I tried to hit the mute button.
No.
Walking behind me with her headphones on. I was like, turn your music down. I can hear it. He's sitting on the bed. Wow.
I'm like, not
Next
me.
week, I will be blessedly child-free with no interruptions for any of my shows, so that will be fantastic.
He's looking forward to then.
Love my kids, but, she's... Fortunately, I can't lock my door in my office and keep her out, because God knows what she'll do out there in the rest of the world if I'm not keeping some sensory device.
So not keeping an eye on her, either literally or metaphorically.
Right. But yes, if there are actually any honest-to-God, 100% diehard GoBot fans, I want to know about it. I want to hear from you. You can reach out to us at rulesandnerdquisition@gmail.com or pop into our chat one day during the show and give us some intel. And if you are out there, I'll offer you, honest-to-God, 100% apology, because we don't trash fandoms here, except Thomas. I don't even think Thomas is being serious. I think he's just being confrontational. Thomas
I think so, because Thomas just likes stirring up trouble. He does. Thomas, I know you like stirring up trouble. And I think, all right, I will say, if you are a true GoBot fan, like you are a fan of you are a fandom of you are a fan of the GoBots. You just like how Gretchen said, you can tell about the lore. You know more than just the three characters of just Psykill, Leader One, and whatever that damn scooter is. I don't know. Anyways, well, she will offer you an apology. I will not trash it as much in front of you. That's the best I can do. And that's what I can offer.
How about this? I will offer you a personalized, custom, highly stylized sketch of Psykill that looks cooler than the one on the cartoon.
You see?
How about that?
And you can guaranteed it'll look better. It'll look better than a divorced dad with a 5 o'clock beard that's bent over ready for anal. So that I'm sure it'll look better than that.
That being said, next week we're going to try and get something fun in the next couple episodes. I've got a guest I want to bring on. His name is Joseph. He is one of the 3 hosts of the Another Fracking podcast.
Yeah.
Very much a Trekkie, loves all of Star Trek. Has some controversial takes that I disagree with, so I think some spirited debates will happen on that show.
Ooh. We're going to have a nerd off.
He's not a big fan of Captain Picard.
We're going to have a nerd off.
But he does agree that if we're listing all of the captains in order of from best to worst, Archer, I'm sorry, you're at the bottom.
I said Archer is...
If for no other reason, you're boring. You were boring.
He's a captain.
He's a captain of a ship. It's got a name. I think it's called Enterprise. One day, eventually one season, we're going to start reviewing that entire series, which Gilbert says could have been wrapped up in a single TV movie. Or maybe a series of TV movies.
No, I say it could have been, like, honestly, it as a show, it's fine. It could have been, the entire series could have been 3 movies, maybe 4 movies, probably about 5 movies, all in total. I mean,
maybe, yeah. I'd say do a trilogy and just be done with it.
Yeah. I mean, it was fine. It was good, but I mean, a lot of stuff, it's just kind of, it felt dragged out. Like, it's feeling dragged out because their whole time thing, the time war that's going on there, it's being dragged out, still being dragged out.
I would say this:
it's just
we could do 3 movies, and the 3 movies, each one should cover one subject. And I'm looking at some of the more exciting storylines in there.
Okay, all right.
One, obviously, probably the last movie should be about the foundation of the Federation. You can have all your Tellarite, Andorian, Vulcan drama in that one.
Yes.
One should cover the Romulan War.
Yes.
Before we even knew what Romulans looked like. And the other movie should cover the whole Xindi thing that happened in season 3.
Yeah.
That could have been one movie by itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They attack Earth, we go off, and we have this big thing, and then we resolve it. Those are the 3 best storylines, I think, that came out of Enterprise. Now, there's some other good ones. Maybe we could do a few more movies, but those are my 3 I pick.
Yeah. I mean, even... Or even like something that just kind of, like parts of it, just kind of, showing the troubles that just having within that initial voyage. The initial 5-year mission. What? And I get, and I understand, a lot of the within the show problems that they did have in space that weren't quite easily resolved and stuff like that, but it just dragged it out way too much sometimes. The whole, for me, they're coming up with the whole concept of a prime directive dragged out for me.
Yeah.
And I feel that could have been resolved in, like, a movie.
Yeah, exactly. You could have an incident that happens. You could even do it in like the Zendi movie, like, remember they attack Earth and interfere, and then we go and we fight back and whatever. And maybe during that venture, we were like, you know what? Maybe we should just F with other people and their planets. Maybe there should be a rule against that. We can tweak it as we go. But,
Yeah, then we realized that this whole conflict started because we went down to their planet, we interfered with this, and blah, 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 blah. So maybe perhaps we should just kind of leave people alone.
Exactly. But next week, we are reviewing Star Trek, the original series, Season 2, Episode 9, which features a returning Star Trek character who was featured heavily in one Star Trek movie and also made a guest cameo in the series pilot of Enterprise. So that character will be returning next week.
Yes.
We'll leave it as a surprise, but I mean, it's Season 2, Episode 9. You can go Google it if you want.
I mean, it's on IMDb.
Google things.
I mean, you can Google it. It's on IMDb. I mean, it's on Paramount Plus. You could watch it. Right, you could watch it right along with us.
You can ask Gemini, Google's AI. Just don't ask it Donald Trump's a fascist, because
it doesn't know, or it cannot. It's not programmed
that way.
It's not programmed to answer in that way.
So that's all I got for today. Like I said, I want to bring on my guest. We've been talking about getting we want to foursome here on our show with Mark Myers, the model builder of Third Models, and also Chris Hunter, the son of Jeff Hunter, who played the original Captain Pike. They are friends. We are friends. That would be a fun show. So we're going to try and set that up for you.
Absolutely.
We've only had one guest this summer so far, or this season so far, and that's been Thomas.
Yes, but, so far, yes. We going to have some more guests coming. Again, like I said, we're gonna reach out to Mark Myers and Chris Hunter, have them come back on. We'll have Chris come back on, have Mark come back on. We talk to Mark. Gonna reach out to Tom McLaren. Tom, hope you're doing okay. Hope you're safe. Hope you and your wife are safe. Definitely want to have you come back on. Just to talk some more nerd stuff with us, man.
Well, and we still need a Helios update, so we want to talk to
Steve Warnock. We need you to come back, to give us some more Helios, because we are addicts and we need a fix. We need our Helios fix. So
I've
Steve,
got his phone number. I just need to text him and say, like, hey, what's going on? Hope you don't live in LA, but if you do, I hope you're okay. And then once I confirm that, then I'll ask those questions. But yeah, next week, Metamorphosis. Hopefully we'll get some guests coming on. Gilbert, as always, is going to leave you with his traditional parting lines. But I just want to say this, that, form arms and body, form feet and legs, malform the head.
keep your triple spade and neuter. Take care, everyone.
See you next week.